Welcome everyone to Pipebomb Wrestling Radio, and I am your host Curse, bringing you the best in professional wrestling. Well, not so much this time. I guess I'm making this shortened episode, if you want to call it an episode. It's more of a kind of an explanation. I'm here to just declare a few things, clarify regarding what's going on with my show. I guess you could call it my show, since I've been a part of every single Pipebomb Wrestling Radios across two groups of co-hosts. And well, yeah, I obviously am gonna start doing this show more than likely by myself. No, there's no ill will towards any of my previous co-hosts, whether it's the original team of, Hector Diaz and Alex Rico and Subway, or if it was my new team, which was the wrestling guy David, Dalis, the Butcher. There's no ill will, it's just, how could I put it this way? I've been wanting to do recap shows, and it turns out that Wrestling Guy is heading in another direction. He has the Wrestling Guy Presents, in which he interviews local talent, and I like that. I like the local talent. It's just I don't have enough time to be able to make do with two shows. I don't even have enough time right now to make do with the interview show, and I felt it would be an injustice for me to force David to do a recap show when he also is on spare time as well. He has a business to run, he has a family to see, he has multiple businesses actually, and it would be unfair for me to be like, David, we got to sit down for an hour and do this show. I understand that things don't work out that way, so we kind of came to an agreement. I will start doing recap shows by myself because this is the thing I really wanted to do. My main goal has always been, recap shows, but at the same time interviewing, talent. But if it came down to it, I like to talk about wrestling, as in a whole, and the sportsmanship, the show, not to knock on anyone, but I just like recapping and, speaking my mind and stating my opinion. Whereas, more than likely when you're interviewing whoever it is, it doesn't matter. It could be the WWE champion, or it could be, someone that's just doing it on their spare time. You have to hear them out. And I don't know how to not sound like a rude and sensitive jerk, but, it's like I want to speak about pro wrestling as well. And obviously I wasn't going to be able to do that, because then it would be rude for me to be like, oh yeah, let me talk about this other wrestler. No. They have and they deserve as much airtime as they could get, and as much as they get their info out and their stories out. So in that regard, it's, I understand. I will pop up on a few of David's shows from time to time, and his interview shows. So, like I said, there's no ill will or anything on that matter. But I do want to focus on this now, because I do feel that in the interim period in which we did the last Pipe Bomb recap show, which was June, I don't even know if we managed to recap Dusty passing away. We might have made mention of him, but I'm not sure if we actually even mentioned him passing away, the tragedy of Dusty Rhodes passing. We missed out on that story. I feel we missed out on a lot of important details. The Hogan situation, which I have my own 2 cents to speak about regarding the Hogan situation as well. And of course, the recent tragic passing of Roddy Piper. I think that, obviously, I'm sure if we had the time as a whole in the Wrestling Guy story, we would have covered it. But like I said, David will swamp with all this, interviews, job, home life. I get it, I'm not going to obligate the man to do the show, even though I really wanted to do the recaps and I wanted to speak my mind about these current issues that are happening in the wrestling community and the sport of wrestling. So yeah, that's pretty much what I need to clear up. Don't think I'm exactly leaving the nest of the Wrestling Guy store. I'll show up from time to time. It's just I haven't, personally, I also haven't had enough time to be there as well in person. I just haven't had the time, haven't had the gas money sometimes. It's just things, that just fly, job, whatever, things happen. So, with that regard, it's, yeah, maybe things might clear up for me and you might see me pop up on a few more of his shows. And hey, for all we know, you might expect some old co-hosts come back and co-host alongside me, but for the most part I do think that I will be doing most of these shows by myself. And with that regard, I guess, like I said, this summer has been rocked by a lot of tragic passings of legends, Dusty Rhodes and Rowdy Piper. Obviously Dusty Rhodes is a legend in his own right, and I do feel that I'm kind of happy in regards to the fact that he was acknowledged, for all of his accomplishments. It would be a sad thing for him to just be remembered as a guy with the polka dots, and obviously that's what most people remember him as. If you just watched WWF and you never saw all of his work in the NWA and WCW. And I'm just glad that they kind of acknowledged that history, that prestige that he actually carried before he even walked into Vince's arena and Vince's ring. And I think the best moment, and I to this day I still call it the top moment of 2013, which wasn't that good of a year for pro wrestling, other than Team Hell No and the like. But I do think one of the best moments of 2013 was the match, if I remember correctly, was Battleground, the Rhodes brothers against the Shield for the tag team titles. And it was just so, yeah, I even remember talking about it on previous Pipebomb when I was still doing it with Hector and Alex, and I just felt that was the moment of 2013 because it was so heartwarming, especially if you know the history behind, the Rhodes and, Dusty, and how Dusty treated Goldust, Dustin, the older son, and how, vastly different he treated Cody Rhodes. It's just great to see them bond at that one moment, become a family union, and for them to win the tag team titles and Dusty to be there and to be a part of it. It was just grand and it was so great. And I'm glad that, he managed to get that moment and that recognition, and may he rest in peace. In addition to that, Rowdy Piper, I've always said it. I've been watching this since I can remember, but to be quite honest with you, I don't think I saw any pay-per-view live until WrestleMania 12. Before then, I do recall we used to rent out the VHS tapes and watch them afterwards. Like, I do remember us watching the Undertaker versus Underfaker on VHS, but I do think the first pay-per-view that I saw live was WrestleMania 12, which was obviously headlined by Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart for the WWF title in the Iron Man match. One of those moments, though, which is a moment I'll never forget, was Rowdy Piper against Goldust, and I felt that match is really underrated because it was mostly for show. It was, this brawl that occurred. There was no really clear decisive winner. Piper just beat the living bejesus out of Goldust, stripped him down to like this provocative, underwear that Goldust was wearing, because obviously he was playing off of that whole, homophobic stereotype character at that time. But yeah, that's one of the clear moments I remember. I'm not like, I'm fairly young compared to a lot of other fans, so I never really got to see Piper in his, as people would like to say, in his glory days as a heel. I never got that. I only managed to rewatch that as I got older. But when I think of Piper, I actually think of him as a face, which is actually kind of like a really strange duality that goes on. But that's how I remember him. I remember him being such a face against Goldust, and I remember him being such a face against Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And it's weird how, a lot of other people, fans, 7 years older than me, remember him as being like the top heel of the company. But regardless, it's great. It's great. Obviously there's some things that I feel WWE kind of missed out on. I do think that they kind of regret how things ended up happening regarding Piper, because he was recently fired from his Legends contract. a few weeks before his tragic passing. And I think that was a lesson to WWE. If you look at it this way, Macho Man Randy Savage, he and the WWE never managed to patch things out, and I think that in some form or fashion kind of hurts the WWE, just the way they handle relations. And I think they managed to atone that with the Ultimate Warrior. Literally, the man, made respects, made peace with the company a good 24 hours before he passed away. That's incredible. Obviously his passing was tragic, but that's incredible for him for so many years to hold a grudge, to actually make peace with the company. And I think that was a sign to WWE that they should probably treat these legends much better, with more respect, because they're not going to be here forever. They'll eventually pass on. And I hate to sound so spiteful, but I do hope it hurts them. It hurts them that they managed to fire Piper from his Legends contract. And now, they kind of come off as hypocrites. I'm glad that they're paying respects to him, but you just can't forget the fact that they disrespected him, and they pretty much, swept that under the rug and just trying to talk about how great his career was. May Roddy Piper rest in peace, but I hate to make these comparisons between these two individuals, because one right now is really, really well loved, by most of the wrestling community, which is Piper. Meanwhile, another one is really controversial, in regards. I'm gonna move the conversation on to Hulk Hogan now. And imagine this, with all that's been happening in the world, what would happen, and I hope it doesn't happen, but what would happen if Hulk Hogan passed away? How would WWE handle that situation? I do think they'll be playing the hypocrite card and be like, celebrating his career now and how great of a man he was, and he helped build us, and WrestleMania this and WrestleMania that. But here's the thing, why do you wait until he's dead to do that? Because we all know that you're going to do that, regardless of whatever words he said, 8 years ago, in a different context. I could get started with those words, but let me just get on with this point. That, WWE, that if Hogan were to pass away, you would try to celebrate his career and what of a great man he was. And what I don't understand is, whatever, backstage politician. I'm pretty sure if you're an IWC member, you're just saying that right now. Whatever. I used to think like that too, but now I'm thinking of the bigger picture, and I think WWE should think of the bigger picture as well. Hogan, he's not going to be here forever. And it's kind of sad that they're going to wait until he passes on to celebrate his legacy. That's the feeling I'm getting now, Hey, you should have let the man kind of apologize on his own, done this forgiveness tour, whatever, make amends, but not totally shun him. You guys did that. You shunned him out of the company. And I think that's where things kind of are wrong, because I don't know if it's true or not, but you read about, he's not even going to be acknowledged as a Hall of Fame member anymore, and it's like, wait a minute, this guy pretty much headlined 8 out of your 9 WrestleManias, first 9 WrestleManias, and it's like, now all of a sudden, no, we want nothing to do with him. How backwards are you guys even thinking? I just don't get that. I don't understand that. And obviously, if, something were to happen to Hogan, you guys would be the ones to kind of have egg on your face, It's kind of, I'm kind of glad people or society isn't as unforgiving as myself, because I'm going to be quite honest. First thing I thought of when Piper passed away is like, oh boy, hopefully it hurts WWE, especially after they fired him from that Legends contract. Hopefully it hurts them that he's not even here to, make amends with him or anything like that. I hope they learn that lesson, that they shouldn't just be treating their hardworking employees as expendable, and I'm not talking about no Schwarzenegger movie or Stallone movie or whatever. that start Austin. No, I'm dead serious. They treat their talent like they're expendable, and they're, that's obviously the wrong path. You ought to give more credit towards your talent. The men and women that bust their asses off, over 300 days of the year, rather than to appease these parties that, no matter how hard you try, they will always see you as some form of carny entertainment, lower class entertainment, something below them, that they'll kind of bully around and be like, oh, well, we got to correct this, you guys got to correct that, yeah, maybe it's stockholders, I don't know what it is, but these people don't really, at deep down, these people don't really respect you like the fans and the talent that you like to mistreat so much. And I'm a hopeful person. Hopefully that changes, but to be quite honest, I don't, if I could be realistic, I don't really see that coming anytime soon. And in regards to Hogan's comments, I understand, why some people might find them offensive. Quite honestly, I don't, but maybe that's because I'm kind of thicker skinned than most people. He could have said comments in regards to my race, and I would have been like, well, I understand the context in which he's saying them. This isn't just a man that's, David Duke, fucking throwing, Klan rallies or anything like that. No. This is a guy that was concerned for his daughter when he himself was going through a hard time in his life. And he was concerned that he thought that his daughter was throwing her life away, kind of going out with someone that that probably wasn't exactly appropriate for her. That's his opinion. That's his opinion. I'm pretty sure if Brooke was dating a white guy that Hogan thought was kind of bad for her, Hogan would have probably called the guy white trash or something like that, or maybe, if she was dating a Hispanic, probably would have said another derogatory term. I don't know. It's just, I do think that comes from a place of a father being in anger rather than it being, oh, I'm a racist type of, blah, 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 blah. No, I think it's just a word he used in anger, and that's it, I think that it's kind of unfair that comedians could get away with saying that word, but other people in the privacy of their home, they can't. I just don't understand the logic behind it, especially when the fact that he was recorded in private, and then if you understand the context behind why he said those words, I don't see how it is really offensive, or at least offensive enough to get fired and get kicked out of the Hall of Fame and all this other stuff. I just don't see why it was made to be such a big deal. Chris Rock, the comedian Chris Rock, has all these, skits, how he talks about how, there's well-educated black African Americans, and of course, then there's the niggas, as he likes to refer to them, the uneducated, don't respect don't have any morals, don't respect any type of, boundaries. In that regard, I don't understand how one could say that, but another individual can't. It's mind-boggling. It really reeks of political correctness, and it sucks because I like to consider myself, liberal in most of my viewpoints, but even I kind of don't really dig the political correctness that much. I just think it's a blight. Something that prevents that prevents the ideology that I believe in from actually attaining real progress. I think that's something that's holding my party back, but that's my personal business. That's not wrestling related. And with that regards, I'm gonna end the show like that. These are just a few things that I really wanted to talk about, and hopefully you stick around. I'll be doing another show in the near future, finally covering actual wrestling. These are just some of the hot topic issues that I wanted to cover since the longest, and I barely got the chance to do it now. And of course, as always, please support me and please support my associates as well. Wrestling Guy Store. I am Hector Diaz, Alex Rico, everyone. And I hope to hear some feedback from all of you. Obviously, this is just a quick on-the-fly thing. It's literally 2:50 a.m. in the morning right now, and that's pretty much it. I just needed to speak my mind, and I'm calling this another show. So thank you for just hearing me rant for a good 20 minutes, and I am out.